Thank you for the chance to provide an update from the National Cotton Council. I'll focus most of my time on the Farm Bill and a couple of other things that are going on in Washington. Let me start though with a few thank yous. One, thanks to the Georgia Cotton Commission for your continued support of the National Cotton Council, both in terms of the financial support you provide as well as the active engagement. Taylor's doing a great job for the commission, and we enjoy working with Taylor. Appreciate Bart Davis as chairman. So again, thank you for that. And Georgia has been such a provider of leadership to the cotton industry, to the National Cotton Council. Lee Cromley currently serves as president of Cotton Council International, our export promotion arm. So again, we certainly appreciate all the support you've given. One more thing I will mention, we do have our member services representative who covers the Southeast region here with us today as well. So anytime you have questions, you can reach out to Molly Cromley. And we're excited to have her on board. She's been with us, I think, now a little less than a year, but doing a great job and really pleased to have her. So reach out to Molly anytime you have any questions or concerns. So let me jump in and talk a bit about the Farm Bill in terms of where things stand. First, I'll start with what we've been doing over the last couple of years. And yes, this process, I know it seems like it's been going on for a while, and that's because it has been going on for a while. And unfortunately, I don't see an immediate end in sight, but we have had a tremendous number of meetings over the course of the last couple of years, meeting with congressional offices, both those that are on the House and Senate Agriculture Committees, those that are not. And a couple of main messages. One has been just simply to convey what our industry priorities are for the next Farm Bill. So and I'll talk about those more in a minute, but really let them know what improvements we need to see that are going to meet the needs of the U.S. cotton industry. And then also to educate the members and the staff about the current situation within the industry and why we need to see an improvement in the safety net. And think back, and I don't have the exact numbers, but there's a tremendous number of both House of Representative members and senators that were not around in 2018 to vote on the last Farm Bill. So this is a new process for them, and not only do you have the turnover in congressional offices, but even those members that are still around probably have new staff and different staff than they had in 2018. But we have been conveying the pressure that's there and the urgent need for assistance. Oh, let me back up one. So a couple of things we've tried to highlight: the fact that the world is different today than it was in 2018. One, if you look at where world consumption is, we were about 119 million bales of consumption on a global basis in 2018 when the current Farm Bill was put in place. USDA's latest July WASDE number puts that at around 117, so hopefully we'll continue to see the growth in the coming marketing year. But if you just look at the year that we're concluding right now as we wrap up the 2023 marketing year, that number of consumption is closer to 113 to 114 million bales. So one, demand is weaker now than it was back when this Farm Bill was put in place. Continue to face tremendous competition from polyester production in China. They produce the vast majority of the world's polyester. It's up 35 million bales from where it was back in 2018. And, oh, by the way, and Taylor mentioned this earlier, Brazil's not our friend. They have been on a tremendous increase in terms of their production, up over about 7.5 million bales. Australia has water, so they bounced back as well with a little over 2 million bales, and you're talking about 10 plus million bales of export competition that is out there in the market today that was not there in 2018, and that's why you see the bottom number where the U.S. has lost export market share. So there's a lot of factors that are coming into play right now, creating the financial situation. And then I think what has been one of the most impactful charts that we have been using with congressional offices, simply put USDA numbers in front of them. Show them the cost of production. We convert it to a seed cotton basis because that's the best way to try to illustrate where the reference price sits compared to cost of production, and kind of highlight where the reference price is, where the market year average price is for seed cotton, and you know that's a weighted average of the lint price and the cottonseed price. And then just show, back in, for the first part of the current Farm Bill, reference price, cost of production, market price were somewhat in line, sometimes a little bit below, sometimes a little bit above. Started to see cost of production tick up as we went through 2021, 2022, But that was also when we had the market price tick up. So price was well above cost of production for those couple of years. But then as we went into 2023, we started to see that situation change. Cost of production was up tremendously, exceeding both the reference price and the market year average price. And now we look at 2024 based on USDA data, doesn't look much different than it was in 2023. So a second year of seeing that shortfall, and that's, again, the need we're conveying to members of Congress is this is not a situation where there are concerns out in the countryside. This is a situation where there's a crisis in the countryside. And that's what we have got to hammer over and over and over again as we go through the rest of this year. So where are we in terms of Farm Bill activity? Didn't have a lot happen in 2023. That was the year we were supposed to reauthorize the Farm Bill. Basically went through the year, a lot of talk, but very little action. Things finally started to happen in the first half of 2024. We have in the first official thing that came out was a framework released by Senator Stabenow, chairwoman of the Senate Agriculture Committee. She released that in early May, outlining what the basic parameters of what she saw as a farm bill. Then we have the Farm Food and National Security Act of 2024, which is the only legislative text that is out there from the four corners for a farm bill. There was a framework released in early spring by Chairman Thompson, House Agriculture Committee Chairman. Legislative text was released mid-May. Markup was May 24th, and it was passed, and we had four Democrats voted for the legislation, including Don Davis and Sanford Bishop. So we had some support across the Cotton Belt, and it contains virtually all of the industry's priorities. Proposal from Senator Bozeman was released on June 11, again addressed in a favorable way many of the cotton industry's priorities. So what are those priorities that we're seeing in the bills if we just kind of highlight a few of the things that we have requested? And one of the main industry recommendations has been to increase the reference price above the level of 36.7, which was the rate that was set in the 2018 Farm Bill. We also wanted to see a removal of the prohibition of being able to purchase stacks and enrolling in the PLC program. So if we look at where we are, Senator Stabenow's framework did call for an increase in statutory reference prices for some commodities, cotton being one of those commodities, took it up 5% to 38.5 cents. But it also limited the maximum PLC rate, put some limitations on it to be basically 7.7 cents a pound. House bill, more favorable in terms of their provisions, increases the reference price to 42 cents per pound. It did raise the floor to 30 cents, but still allows a maximum PLC rate of 12 cents. So quickly, if you think about what 42 cents means, because I know we're still having to do a lot of conversions in terms of, okay, a 42 cent reference price, and we're used to thinking about fiber prices when we look on New York futures right now trading, unfortunately, in the upper 60s. But, so the conversion is that if you look at what 42 cents means, if cottonseed is about $200 a ton, then to get to a 42 cent average price, that translates into a Lent market year average price of about 84 cents. 84 cents for Lent on a market year average NAS price, $200 cottonseed gets you back to about 42 cents. And whenever we talk about the NAS market year average price relative to New York futures, the normal basis, and it moves around, but if you look on average, is that the NAS price will usually be about a nickel below where New York December trades for a marketing year. So you could essentially say 42 cents provides protection when New York futures is trading in the upper 80s. If it's trading 90 or above, under normal price relationships, you'll turn off a PLC payment. It starts trading below 90 cents, we start getting into the territory where 42 cents triggers support payments. So feel very good about where the House bill is. Plus, it also enhances the supplemental coverage option to be very similar to stacks, and you can have purchased that product on top of being enrolled in PLC. So more favorable on the House side than where we are with Chairwoman Stabenow's framework. We just look back at if this program, if the House bill had been in place since 2018, what would it have meant relative to what we had in the 2018 Farm Bill? And again, the 2018 Farm Bill had several years where PLC kicked in, or you had a stacks indemnity. And so what we looked at in the blue bar was, since you can't be in both, we looked at what would happen if you choose the better of the two options. In the House bill, you can have the House PLC at 42 cents, you can enroll in stacks, and you can see that in all years, except for the years where we had the higher prices in 21-22, where we had very high prices, the two bills are the same because PLC is not kicked in. But in the other years, you have some fairly significant improvements in the safety net with the House bill. For the current crop, that difference is a little over $100 per acre if it was in place for 2024. A few other things, we are calling for some improvements in the marketing loan program, increasing the level of the marketing loan, as well as some modifications to the way that marketing loan repayment calculations occur, and in basically getting some additional flexibility in the way those calculations occur to make us more competitive in global markets. We do see a higher loan rate in both the Stabenow framework and the House bill. Although Chairwoman Stabenow did not include any of the additional provisions that we would like to see on the marketing loan, we essentially have almost all of those included in the House bill. So it improves the marketing loan program, it increases the reference price, gives us better insurance options. Also makes some adjustments to extra long staple, but the other big thing that it does is our support to our domestic textile industry, which is currently set at 3 cents per pound. The House takes it all the way up to 5 cents per pound. We were asking for at least 4, they went to 5. We'll give credit on the Democratic side that we actually see it increase to 4 cents as well. And the House bill actually gives us a little more flexibility in payment limits than current law, which is good to see. If you have a higher reference price, you're going to need that additional flexibility in payment limits. Stabenow framework, there's some AGI provisions in there that are extremely problematic and unworkable, and I'll not go into any further detail than that. So, good bill out of the House Agriculture Committee. A lot of work left to be done on the Senate side. I know there's conversations going on between Ms. Stabenow's staff and Mr. Bozeman's staff. And again, we've got a very good friend in Mr. Bozeman who's going to advocate for the priorities of Southern commodities. We've got a very good friend in Chairman Thompson. We also have good support within House Ag Ranking Member David Scott's office. So there's some good support there. It's just finally getting people to work together and try to get this across the finish line. Our message is going to continue to be that we have to have a farm bill this year. I mean, we need to get it done. The support is needed right now. You can look at whether you look at the cost of production data, that's up across the board 25 to 28% across the crops. For cotton and USDA data, that's $193 per acre. And again, I mentioned this earlier, if the House bill was in place for this crop based on where prices are today, that'd be $100 to $110 per acre of additional support relative to what's in the 2018 Farm Bill. It's a significant improvement. And the other message we're conveying in the strongest possible terms is that assistance is needed this year. Another year of a simple extension of the current law, I think Taylor mentioned this, is not acceptable. I mean, it does not work for the industry. And that's, last year the extension was done, that got us to where we are today, but that does not work as we go forward and look ahead to another year. And the other point we're making, and again, going back to USDA, this is not just cotton, but we're seeing it across other commodities. You simply look at cost of production and you convert them back to a per unit basis, and you compare that to the market year average price. We're starting to see red pop up all over the board when you look at it across the commodities. And 2024 is based on USDA cost of production estimates. It's based on the prices in the supply and demand, the WASDE that came out in July. You look at 2025, that's USDA's projected cost of production, not much relief from where we are today. And then you look at price projections that are largely predicated. These are some numbers we developed from the council, largely developed on where futures markets are trading. So again, situation looks bad as we are in 2024, coming off of a difficult year in 2023, not looking any better for 2025. So that's the message that Congress has got to continue to hear. Because I'll be honest, there are people on the other side of this debate that are continuing to point back to the fact that we had record farm income 2 years ago. And they're continuing to talk about, things are not that bad out in rural America and the rural economy. Well, we've got to certainly change that narrative and make people understand the challenges that we're facing. So that's a quick Farm Bill update. How are we doing on time? Because the other thing I'm well aware of is the fact that I'm standing between you and lunch. So I want to be cognizant of that. Do a tremendous amount of work on the regulatory process as well. One thing I want to talk about is the work that's ongoing by the industry, not only trade associations, but by the registrants to maintain dicamba. I won't go through the whole history here, but you probably are well aware of it. Dicamba tolerant cotton, that's more than 75% of our acres that are planted here in the United States. So it's a critically important product that we need. We have 3 dicamba products labeled for over-the-top use. You have Bayer's product XtendiMax, BAS Ingenia, and Syngenta Tavium that are all labeled. Think back to early this year, and again, dicamba's had a tough history on the legal side, but we had a court battle or a court decision early in February of this year that an Arizona district court vacated the label, which was coming at a terrible time. Thankfully, EPA came out with an existing stocks order that allowed access and use of the product for that was already in the retail supply chain, which was, we understand, about 55 to 60% of what's needed. So it's not a perfect outcome by any stretch, but given the circumstances, actually have to applaud EPA a bit for taking this stance and making this available. So that's where we are for this year. Where are we for next year? We need a new label for 2025. That's the bottom line, is we need a new label for 2025 to be able to have access to the product. The registrants have submitted their applications. And in fact, hope I get my dates right here, Bayer was first out of the gate. That opened up a 30-day comment period. That period is closed. Then BASF was next. That opened a 30-day comment period that ran on the back end of the BASF or the Bayer comment period. It's closed, and now we just have the Syngenta comment period that started yesterday or the day before. It might have been yesterday. Anyway, we have submitted comments in all cases. I think Georgia Cotton Commission has submitted comments. We've had individual producers that have submitted comments. And if you have, I want to thank you for that. If you haven't, you have an opportunity now. They don't have to be extensive comments, but you still have an opportunity on the Tavium to basically talk about how important it is to have access to dicamba in 2025. There are, the alternatives are going to be more costly. They're going to be less efficient. So it's important that we have that. We have that access. And we have to continue this fight, because I want to say it is an uphill battle. And if we're not all in here fighting together to try to get to where we need to be in 2025, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, EPA's told us it's an uphill battle because of the length of time it takes to typically go through a registration process. So just understand the challenge in front of us, but we have got to continue to work to keep EPA engaged. We've got to stress the need. They need to hear from the countryside. They need to hear from members that are using it, members and producers that rely on it in their farming operation. I will not expect an answer until this year, either way. Again, comment periods are going on. They're not going to give us the answer we need probably in the time we would like to have it, but we got to continue to keep up this fight and just know they're going to have to hear from a lot of voices to get them to move to the place we need them to get to. So, uphill battle, challenging situation, but we got to keep pushing for it because we need access to the product in 2025. Last couple of things I'm going to mention, just circle back. I know Taylor mentioned the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol. That is a sustainability initiative of the U.S. cotton industry. Do want to mention we've got Chaz Holt, who heads up kind of all of our enrollment activities and member engagement at the grower level. He's here today. We also have Marin Finley, who's really focused on Southeast growers and getting them engaged. Those of you that are participating, we want to thank you for your participation. We had about 2 million bales that came off the 2023 crop. I think if weather cooperates, we'll probably have closer to 4 million bales in the program this year. So we're seeing some growth. We're starting to see some traction on the demand side as well. And that's really where we've got to see more uptake by the brands and retailers, because I do think it gives U.S. cotton a great story to tell. We've got a tremendous story to tell in terms of the shrinking environmental impact that you have had on your farming operation. And so we've got to do that. We've got to put that story out there so that we can build more demand for U.S. cotton and continue to push back on man-made fibers. And I want to say, and I appreciate some of the growing awareness that's out there in terms of polyester and synthetic fibers and the damage it's doing. You know, we're seeing it show up. There was a Sourcing Journal report. In fact, this picture of people wrapped in plastic was a Sourcing Journal article about whether or not fashion can kick its addiction to its synthetic addiction. Fast fashion even made a Saturday Night Live skit about 6 weeks ago or so. So I encourage you to YouTube that. And we do have a new report from Cotton Incorporated that is focused on plastics pollution and the contribution of polyester to the microplastic situation that we have. I mean, think about some of the reports that are out there where we're consuming, you know, the equivalent of a credit card a week in terms of plastics that are in our body. Washington Post ran an article that it's in the air we breathe. You know, this is a growing awareness. I think this is an opportunity because we are in a fight for demand with polyester. I mean, polyester is the enemy when we look at, you know, the challenges we have in front of us, and we have to continue to build that message about the benefits of a natural fiber like cotton relative to synthetic fibers, because I think that's really what can allow, hopefully, the cotton market to recover and us grow demand. It is a great opportunity, but again, it's going to take an industry-wide effort to get us where we need to be. So with that, I'm going to stop. Thank you again for the opportunity to provide a bit of an update on the Farm Bill. Thank you again for your support of the National Cotton Council. So Taylor, happy to turn it back over to you.